Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I want to talk about the Nintendo 64 Mini and what games I want to see. So this is a little bit of a wish list video. If you're new to the channel, welcome to the channel. Go ahead and check it out, see what other videos we got. Do that after this video, of course. Leave a like, subscribe if this is the kind of content you want to see. Comment down below. Let me know if you like the video. Let me know what you think, what you want to see on the N64 Mini. Anyway, with all that aside, let's go ahead and jump on in. First up, we're gonna get some of the big ones out of the way. Number one, Super Mario 64. Obviously, it launched with this, makes a lot of sense. Let's keep going. It's the big one, okay? And right after that, The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. Without these two, it's just not a Nintendo 64 Classic Edition, and of course, they're gonna add them. Next up are some other big hitters. The Legend of Zelda: Majora's Mask, my personal favorite, and it has to be there. F-Zero X, one of the best racing games from that generation, and on the console, definitely gotta be there. But of course, we can't mention racing games without Mario Kart 64. Yeah, that's a big one right there. The battle mode, 4-player racing, that's a big one right there. Just so much fun with that one. Next up, Yoshi's Story. This is a fun 2D platformer. To me personally, Yoshi's Story on the Nintendo 64 is the best Yoshi game. It's just a great 2D platformer and has to be there. And Nintendo owns it, so why not? Moving on, Paper Mario. It's gotta be there. I mean, this is just... for a console that doesn't have a lot of RPGs, this one game, it carries the load. This is the one you needed. And I know Nintendo doesn't really like to talk about these old Paper Mario games. They got the whole new style with things, but if you have a Nintendo 64 Classic Edition, it's gonna have Paper Mario. Next, I want to mention Mario Party. Now, there's Mario Party 1, 2, and 3 on the Nintendo 64, and I'm trying to decide which one I would want to see on there. I think I've had the most fun with Mario Party 2, personally, but I'm gonna go with just the original. Keep it simple, first Mario Party, but honestly, any one of those would be great. I don't think they're gonna put more than one, but you gotta have one Mario Party. And now might be a good time to mention that this console has to have 4 controller ports. It's unacceptable to have 2 and the other 2 just be fake or something. It has to have 4, but I still think it would ship with 2 controllers. Any more would make it really expensive, although that would be nice because I'd want 4 controllers so I can play with 4 people, but it would also make the box massive. Again, I wouldn't complain, but this is a mini console we're talking about. Moving right along to a couple Pokemon games. And this is really tough. You can't include every game, so unfortunately, I'm gonna have to leave Hey You Pikachu off the list. I know, I'm sorry. But it's just, we can't include every classic. But come on, really, being honest here, Pokemon Stadium 1 and 2 are not gonna be here, unfortunately. I just can't include them. I think a puzzle game has to be on here, and I was kind of mixed with Dr. Mario 64, so I ended up with Pokemon Puzzle League as the next game, and Pokemon Snap. These 2 games, I spent so much time with these as a kid, and they're some of my favorite games on the console. So with Pokemon Snap and Pokemon Puzzle League, those are 2 Pokemon games that I believe need to be on there. Next up, Star Fox 64, the game we got instead of Star Fox 2 on the Super Nintendo. This game is one of the most beloved for the Nintendo 64. I personally really enjoyed it, spent a lot of time with it. Might not be my favorite Star Fox game, but I totally understand why everyone loves it. It's, I think, pretty much everyone's favorite, except for me. But it has to be there. It's Star Fox, come on.
Take that!
Next up, another Nintendo franchise, Kirby 64, The Crystal Shards. This game doesn't seem to get as much love nowadays as it did. Or did it ever, really? I don't know. The games on the Super Nintendo, the NES, the Game Boy, Kirby Air Ride seems to get more attention than Kirby 64. It's surprising, kind of a hidden gem, I suppose. But really, if they make an N64 Classic Edition, I can guarantee this one will definitely be there. Now, at some point, I have to mention the elephant in the room, and that might be Rare. But before we do that, let's talk about some third-party games. Now, you can easily fill up an entire list of 20, 30 games just from Nintendo alone, but I'm going to mention a few third-party games because a diverse library is important, and there's some good third-party games on the Nintendo 64, and I'm going to talk about them now. So next is Ogre Battle 64. This is another one of the few RPGs that came to the console, this one of the strategy variant. It's pretty expensive and has been re-released a few times via the Virtual Console, so it would be a nice addition to see it here. Square Enix currently owns the IP, so that shouldn't be too much trouble. Them and Nintendo, best buds for life. Next, gotta have a game from Capcom, right? Know what you're thinking, and that's right, Mega Man 64. Now obviously this was a port of the PS1 game, Mega Man Legends. The second game didn't come to the Nintendo 64, but the first one did, and the PlayStation Classic didn't have Mega Man Legends, so it only makes sense to have Mega Man 64 on the Nintendo 64 Classic Edition. For me personally, I think the N64 version is better because of the analog controller, but that's up for debate. Regardless, every mini console needs to have a Mega Man game, and the N64 Classic is no different.
We will need that key after all.
That blue boy is heading this way.
He's coming. All right, everyone, quit digging. Our priority now is to get rid of our little blue friend, all right? Be careful and don't be fooled by his size. He's already beaten Bon and Tron. Let's do it.
Now, a game by Treasure, that's right, Mischief Makers. This was published by Enix back in the day, so I'm not sure who owns the rights, but this is an amazing 2D platformer. It's really strange, but just high quality game, and I don't know, has it had a re-release? So probably not. Definitely gotta be there. For me personally, it's one I really want to see. And we can't forget Konami, of course. They have a bunch of games on the Nintendo 64, all varying in quality, and I'm going to go with Mystical Ninja starring Goemon. Now, I hate to skip over Castlevania, there was a couple of those on there, but they're just not that good. And I honestly feel bad, but this game is really out there, and it's a bunch of fun. So if we were to get a game from Konami for the N64 Classic, this is the one I'm choosing. Alright, our list is coming to a close, so let's go with another treasure game, Sin and Punishment. This was released only in Japan and China on the IQ player, check the card above. But it did finally come to North America from the Virtual Console, on the Wii and the Wii U, but I think it needs to be here on an N64 Classic Edition. I don't know if Nintendo would put it on there though, it's definitely questionable, but I would hope so. It's a great game, so do it, Nintendo. Moving on. Alright, we've come to the big topic, the thing that everyone says it's impossible to have an N64 Classic because Nintendo doesn't own all the rights to these rare games. And let me just say, first of all, that doesn't matter. I've already mentioned that Nintendo has plenty more games. I mean, the Mario sports games, we can go and throw a few of those on there. Good to go. Don't need any games from Rare. But I think Nintendo could strike a deal with Microsoft and get some things from Rare. Nintendo and Microsoft seem to be at least decent business partners. So let's assume that they cut a deal for some stuff. First of all, you're not going to see GoldenEye, obviously. No Perfect Dark, and no Conquer. And why is that? Because these games are rated M. Nintendo doesn't want a M-rated product. Obviously, Sony was okay with it, and Microsoft would be okay with it. Maybe even Sega would be okay with it. But Nintendo, that's not going to happen. I cannot see them going with an M rating for their product. So Conquer, Perfect Dark, no way. Not going to happen. The best case scenario I see is the first Banjo-Kazooie. Maybe the second. I mean, what other games from Rare? Blast Corps. I'd like to see Jet Force Gemini. That'd be cool, but they're going to go with one. It's going to be the original Banjo. And what else from Rare? Diddy Kong Racing. That would also be on there. I could see them releasing Diddy Kong Racing, but without Banjo and Conquer in there, it's kind of weird. So I think that would be licensed from Microsoft to have those characters in there just to complete that game, and Donkey Kong 64 as well. So there you go. There's 3 games from Rare, just a few licenses from Rare to have their logo in there, of course, as well as some characters for Diddy Kong Racing, and 1 game, Banjo-Kazooie. Honestly, I can't see much more, and to be honest, I'd be okay with this list. This is 20 games that are really, really amazing from Nintendo, some third parties, and a few from Rare as well. In terms of licensing, I think it's all possible, and this console can be from $100 to $150. And if it doesn't come out this year, maybe next year or even the year after, maybe trying to get to that $100 price point. Even if they can only include 1 controller to get it to that price, I'd be okay with that. I don't mind spending $25, $30 on extra controllers. Now, if they choose to go like they did with the Super Nintendo Classic Edition, could we see a 21st game? An unreleased game, perhaps? Well, maybe, and that could be Sin and Punishment. They kind of do 20 games, and the 21st would be Sin and Punishment. But if I had to choose a 21st game, I'm going to go with Earthbound 64. I think it would be so amazing if they were to finish it up, bring Mother 3 over as Earthbound 64 worldwide. This would literally blow my mind. You would never find an N64 Classic. These things would fly off the shelves. Now that's pretty outlandish, but wouldn't it be just amazing? Alright guys, now before we go, let's talk about a few honorable mentions. Obviously, Perfect Dark, GoldenEye, Conquer, all the other Rare games, Killer Instinct, Blast Corps, Jet Force Gemini, Banjo-Tooie. There's a bunch of them. And I would love to see a ton of those, but some are rated M, and you just can't license every game from Microsoft. Next up, Resident Evil 2 from Capcom. This would be awesome to see, but again, it's rated M, so no. Next up, Goemon's Great Adventure. I had to choose one from Konami, and I decided to go with Mystical Ninja rather than this one, but either one would be great. Next, Rayman 2, The Great Escape. This is a pretty fun 3D platformer from Ubisoft. I could see this coming to the N64 Classic, but trying to fill 20 slots, this doesn't make the 20 for me, but I wouldn't complain. And finally, Vigilante 8. This is a really fun vehicle combat game from Activision. One game that I spent tons of time playing with my brother when I was younger, and I can see it coming to the N64 Classic, but I don't know if I would consider it in the top 20 of the classic Nintendo 64 games. Anyway, I really love the N64, and ever since Nintendo announced the NES Classic, I've just been counting down the years, I guess, for the N64's turn. Thank you guys for watching this video. Leave a comment down below. What mini consoles do you want to see? What games do you want to see on an N64 Classic? Please leave a comment. I love talking to every single one of you guys. If you enjoyed this wish list video thing, go ahead and subscribe, like the video. Thank you so much for watching, and you have a great day.